The Hamas-Israel conflict continues to plunge Gaza into a dire humanitarian tragedy. Nearly 60,000 people killed and over 140,000 injured. While Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu claims there is no famine in Gaza, U.S. President Donald Trump asserts the opposite, pledging to establish food aid centers in Gaza. So what is the real situation in Gaza? Follow the full developments regarding the plight of Gaza's people in today's video.
According to a statement from Gaza authorities on July 28th, the number of Palestinians killed in Gaza has risen to 59,921, with 145,233 others injured since the outbreak of the conflict between Hamas and Israel. In the past 24 hours, Israeli attacks have claimed the lives of 100 people and injured 382 others. In addition to casualties from military operations, the humanitarian situation in Gaza continues to deteriorate severely. Gaza's health authority reported that 14 Palestinians, including many children, died in the past 24 hours due to starvation and malnutrition caused by Israel's blockade on Gaza, bringing the total number of deaths from this cause to 147 since the conflict began, including 88 children. Describing the famine in Gaza as real, President Trump's assessment contradicted Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who on the same day declared that there is no famine in Gaza and vowed to continue fighting against the Palestinian armed group Hamas. Speaking in Scotland during a bilateral meeting with UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, Trump said Israel could do more to facilitate access to food in Gaza, thereby saving more lives.
It's very difficult to deal with Hamas, as I said. We got a tremendous amount of hostages out, but it would take place in drips and drabs. You'd get 10, you get 5, you get 2, you'd get 10, 12, we get 12 one time. Many of them would come to the White House, and they were so thankful. But I always said, when you get down to the final 10 or 20, you're not going to be able to make a deal with these people because they use them as a shield. And when they give them up, they no longer have a shield. And the people of Israel feel so strongly about the hostages. Some people would take a different view, but they feel so strongly about the hostages.
Mr. President, you say you love Scotland. You're the most Scottish president ever in the White House.
Hamas has become very difficult to deal with in the last couple of days because they don't want to give up these last 20, because they think as long as we have them, they have protection. But I don't think it can work that way. So I'm speaking to PB Netanyahu, and we are coming up with various plans. We're going to say it's a very difficult situation. If they didn't have the hostages, things would go very quickly. Whenever the Queen was on television, she wanted to watch. And she would come back religiously, she'd come back. But the area of Gaza, another way of defining it is the area of Gaza. It's a very troubled place, and it has been for many, many years. It has been for many decades. So it's not like this just happened. This has been going on for a long period of time. So that's it. Our hearts are in the right place to survive and live to make it. Many of the hostages came to my office, and we're going to set up food centers, and we're going to do it in conjunction with some very good people, and we're going to supply funds. And we just took in trillions of dollars. We got a lot of money, and we're going to spend a little money on some food. And other nations are joining us. I know your nation's joining us, and we have all of the European nations joining us, and others also have called, and they want to be helpful. So we're going to set up food centers and where the people can walk in. Hamas and giving Hamas signals and orders, and that's not. We made a contribution a week ago of $60 million, all going into food. We only hope the food goes to the people that need it. Because nobody knows her last name was Harris, but nobody knew her last name. So I ended up, for a charity, son. But I'm not a drawing person. We're going to be getting some good, strong food. We can save a lot of people. I mean, some of those kids that's real starvation stuff. I see it. And you can't fake that. So we're going to be even more involved. We did some airlifts before, some airdrops, and the people are running for it. And the Prime Minister is going to help us. They're very effective with that. You've done that before.
And we have to be really clear at this point that Hamas can play absolutely no part in any future governance in Palestine, and and in Gaza. And it's really important that we're clear about what triggered this, who took the hostages.
In all fairness, I've been doing this for a long time. And the top show and tell.
We've had the opportunity to talk about the situation in Gaza and the intolerable situation, including images of starvation. And I think both of us know that we have to get to that ceasefire, and we have to increase humanitarian aid in. And thank you for what you've already been doing, are doing, and committed to, because without you, this would not be capable of resolution.
German Prime Minister Friedrich Merz announced that Germany will immediately establish an air bridge to deliver humanitarian aid to Gaza, while also considering increasing pressure on Israel regarding the catastrophic situation in the region.
Israel must immediately improve the catastrophic humanitarian situation in Gaza in a comprehensive and sustainable manner. Israel must provide the suffering civilian population with rapid, safe, and adequate humanitarian and medical aid. The measures initiated by Israel yesterday are an important first step in this direction. They must be followed quickly by further action in the treatment of the people there. However, there must be no further expulsions from the Gaza Strip. Secondly, what is needed now is a comprehensive ceasefire in Gaza, not just a short-term one. And to achieve this, Hamas must finally clear the way. The Israeli government itself must also do everything in its power to achieve this. Today, we also agreed on the question of recognizing possible Palestinian statehood. The federal government has no decision to make on this matter at present. We do not view recognition as the first step, but rather as one of the possible final steps toward achieving a two-state solution. The German government, in cooperation with Jordan, is immediately setting up an airlift of humanitarian aid supplies to Gaza. Federal Defense Minister Boris Pistorius will coordinate closely with France and the United Kingdom, which are also prepared to provide such airlifts for food and medical supplies. We know that this can only be a very small help for the people in Gaza, but at least it is a contribution that we are happy to make. We stand by Israel, and we want to do everything we can to help this country return to calm and live in peace and freedom. But Israel must also contribute to this and must also consider the situation after a ceasefire, after a reconstruction conference. The people in the region must have a chance to live together in peace and joy. And that is why the Israeli government must also do everything it can to make this possible.
Jan Egeland, head of the Norwegian Refugee Council, called the airdrops of aid to Gaza a farce and stated that they are insufficient to prevent famine.
The situation today is catastrophic. There is no other word for it. We've been talking now that time is running out and there is a countdown to famine. Well, at this time, children are dying every single day from starvation, from preventable disease. So time has run out. The catastrophe is here. Children are dying from starvation, and it's man-made by Israel from A to Z. The airdrops is really a joke. The 25 tons in one expensive airdrop. It excites diplomats and journalists because they're very photogenic, but they don't help families and aid workers to avert famine. It's 2 trucks worth one airdrop. So the whole system is too complicated as it is. It's not going to avert famine.
Meanwhile, the Israeli human rights organizations B'Tselem and Physicians for Human Rights Israel have accused the State of Israel of committing genocide against Palestinians in the Gaza war. At a press conference held in Jerusalem, activists from these 2 organizations presented their allegations against the State of Israel, asserting that the Israeli government's deliberate actions to undermine and destroy Palestinian society in Gaza cannot be denied.
The report we are publishing today is one we never imagined we would have to write. But in recent months, we have been witnessing a reality that has left us no choice but to acknowledge the truth. Israel is committing genocide against the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. So for the past 22 months, we have witnessed unprecedented levels of civilian killings, of deliberate starvation, forced mass displacement, and the total destruction of most infrastructure necessary for human and social existence. The people of Gaza have been displaced, bombed, and starved, left completely stripped of their humanity and rights.
What you believe that is, and Dr. Shalev,
Today, Physicians for Human Rights Israel is publishing a report detailing Israel's actions in Gaza. We focus on Article 2C of the Genocide Convention, the deliberate infliction of conditions of life calculated to bring about the group's destruction. This legal definition acknowledges that genocide can occur through systemic and infrastructural means, not only through mass killings. We show how Israel's actions have led to the destruction of the conditions necessary for the survival of Palestinians in Gaza. Systematic destruction of the healthcare system, denial of access to food, blocking of medical evacuations, and using humanitarian aid to advance military targets all indicate a clear pattern of conduct, a pattern that reveals intent.
Israel is all around. Israelis who share our values and general approach to life, which is to respect human dignity and human rights, are struggling these days. All of them. Not only human rights defenders, not only our colleagues, we see it all around. I have to say it's not the mainstream of the Israeli society today, and I say it with a lot of pain. The mainstream of Israel society today is still, as we hear it from the mainstream media on the street, is still completely holding completely this notion that everything we are doing in Gaza has a justification because of October 7th.
They live the hunger and the starvation.
To recognize, to really fully understand that your country, your collective, is actually committing genocide is a very hard process, mental process and personal process. Not only because it puts us in risk, in all kinds of risks. That's also true. But more than that, because it breaks something very internally, very, very basic about who we are and who we think about ourselves and who we thought we could have been.
The spokesperson for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office, David Mencer, dismissed the genocide allegations as baseless. Mencer stated that Israel has provided aid to Palestinians, which he claimed is completely contrary to the accusations.
In Gaza today, there is no famine caused by Israel. There is, however, a man-made shortage engineered by Hamas. Now, too often, the full story is not being told. This suffering exists because Hamas has created it. The suffering exists because Hamas has made it so. Hamas hijacks the aid. They charge their own people. This is aid which is supposed to go to Gazans for free. It is their right to get it for free. Gazans are taxing that aid. They are selling it to merchants and selling it to Gaza's people for exorbitant prices. And they're using the money to pay for their terrorist fighters. And this seems to be the last leg which Hamas is standing on, which is why it is so important to cut Hamas out of the distribution process.